Yeah.
Plants are a life form. And we have this thing in our head that because they don't move, oh, they must be stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But they're in some way communicating with each other in a method that we don't totally understand.
Yeah.
Which vegans hard.
Yeah, right.
That whole self-righteousness and all the craziness that comes along with being a vegan and cruelty-free. Yeah. Not to those screaming plants that you can't hear because they scream.
Salad!
They fucking scream,
yeah,
man.
Right.
They make noise. They know when they're being eaten.
If I eat an animal, it's been killed and I'm eating the dead flesh. If you're eating a salad, some of that still alive.
Yeah. Maybe that's okay. Maybe it's okay. I mean, here's the thing. Maybe it's all okay. But we have this idea that some life is more important than other life.
Yeah.
Intelligent life is more important than non-intelligent life.
Hi, I am a plants rights activist. You may have seen one of my recent videos where I went over how Bro Rogan, otherwise known as Joe Rogan, inspired me to become a plants rights activist. He showed me that vegans were hypocrites for claiming that they care about animals while consuming innocent plants that can suffer.
Yeah. Not to those screaming plants that you can't hear.
I was once a vegan activist, and then Joe Rogan's wisdom on plant sentience, which is extremely scientifically substantiated, caused me to reflect on my views and become an advocate for the victims of vegans and even non-vegans, plants. Plants are victims of genocide. Joe Rogan's genius plants rights activism had such an impact on me that it motivated me to decide to interview a past victim of plant agriculture.
So tell me, how long exactly were you held by your human oppressor? For how long was it that they decided to use you for who you are? Interesting. Now tell me this. If you had one thing to say to all of the humans that are oppressing you and your people, what would it be? Now before we go, and I don't expect you to do this, but would you be willing to just share what your gut-wrenching screams sound like when you're in the midst of being slaughtered that Joe Rogan, the prophet, has talked about on his podcast? Wow. I'm almost as speechless as you are.
So although Joe Rogan is one of my inspirations for my plants rights activism, I do believe that Joe Rogan is missing one victim. So think about this. Vegans are hypocrites for caring about animals while caring about plants because they're alive. And if something's alive, we ought to care for it. So what about microscopic bacteria? Like, as much as I love Joe Rogan, what about microscopic innocent bacteria? They're alive too. So to be clear, vegans need to also be caring about microscopic bacteria, and plants rights activists such as Joe Rogan should also be caring about microscopic bacteria, because microscopic bacteria, just like plants and just like animals, are alive. Big Sanitizer has been pushing COVID and other viruses and other kinds of microscopic bacterial infections for years in an effort to increase the widespread use of hand sanitizer and hand soap, which consequently results in the death of over 1 trillion innocent and cute microscopic bacteria every hour. Now, let's look at some of the pro-bacteria genocide propaganda that has been circulating through society for the past year and a half. This sign says, "Please use hand sanitizer." Please use hand sanitizer. The phrase "use hand sanitizer" in this context is just a euphemism for murdering innocent bacteria. The sign might as well say, "Please commit genocide on your hands." This one says, "Safety first. Please use hand sanitizer." Safety first. What about the safety of bacteria? They're alive. People are so disconnected. This is what big hand sanitizer and big hand soap do. They disconnect the consumer from the victim and make washing your hands seem merely like a personal choice. It isn't. Upon discovering the truth of antibacteria propaganda, I decided to take all of my hand sanitizer containers and throw them out. So this is all clearly more evidence of how hypocritical vegans are for caring about life while destroying life through the use of hand sanitizer. If you are a vegan who uses hand sanitizer, you are a pro-bacteria holocaust supporting hypocrite. Washing your hands is not a personal choice. Simply put, there is a victim involved. Why is nobody talking about bacteria rights? It's already bad enough that we have passionate animal rights activists who don't advocate for the rights of plants who can't suffer. But now we have animal rights activists not advocating for the rights of microscopic bacteria who can't suffer. We need to be caring about the suffering of beings who can't suffer. How can somebody be an advocate for the rights of sentient beings, such as animals, while actively ignoring the rights of non-sentient beings, such as microscopic bacteria and plants? Is it because plants and bacteria look different? Since when is it justified to discriminate against another being solely because they look different? This is basically racism, but for bacteria and plants. It's time that we extend our circle of moral consideration to the most vulnerable and not sentient beings on this planet, microscopic bacteria. So upon my release of my first video, going over how plants' lives matter, I was met with a lot of comments asking for scientific evidence that plants can feel pain. So I can only assume that upon my release of this video, I will be met with the same questions, but about microscopic bacteria. This is how you can understand that microscopic bacteria are sentient. Take Joe Rogan's advice and have some psilocybin mushrooms and stare into a microscope at microscopic bacteria. And then you're just gonna feel their conscious energy. At this point, you'll be at a level of consciousness so high that you will be able to process the sentience of microscopic bacteria. Who cares about scientific evidence when I could just use my experience under the influence of a psychedelic drug to justify an empirical claim? So here is the main conclusion of this extremely comprehensive and scientific video. As we know, vegans are hypocrites for caring about sentient animal life while paying for innocent, non-sentient plants to die. But also, vegans are hypocrites for caring about animal sentient life while using hand sanitizer and hand soap to massacre innocent, non-sentient bacteria. Guys, join the movement. If you're a vegan and you eat plants, you're a hypocrite because they're alive. If you use hand sanitizer, you're a hypocrite because you're killing innocent bacteria. It's very simple, all right? So stop being a hypocrite and join the movement and eat some bacon and go carnivore. I'm not even sure what solution to propose here. I'm kind of just trying to make myself feel better about not being vegan. So I like to imagine that, plants are sentient and bacteria are sentient to make myself feel better about actually murdering real sentient animals with my food choices and, my bacon consumption. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, share this with local vegan activists and plant rights activists who aren't aware of microscopic bacteria sentience. If you support my work and want to support me on Patreon, the link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next anti-vegan video. F vegans.
Dude, even vegans don't get your weird, stupid wannabe sense of irony here. Who's your audience? Nobody gets these dumb jokes. Dude, even vegans don't get your weird, stupid